Welcome back to another video tutorial for Introduction to Solid Modeling. In this video we're going to learn how to take a two-dimensional sketch and extrude it into a three-dimensional part, as well as use two-dimensional sketches to remove material from that part. First thing we need to do is create a part, and we need to create a two-dimensional sketch that we want to extrude. For this example, I will just use a center rectangle, and once we have this rectangle, we're going to assign dimensions to both sides of this rectangle, and we will say that it is a 12 by 6 rectangle. Now that I've given this two-dimensional sketch dimensions so that we've controlled the size, I will extrude this into a three-dimensional part. To do this, I will go back to the command manager and I will select the Features tab. Up here you can kind of see we have the three main tools that you'll use to take a 2D sketch and turn it into a 3D object. In this case we're going to use Extruded Boss Base. So select that, and now you can see we have, it kind of shows this preview of this sketch being extruded into a third dimension. And this dimension here in this case is 0.1 inches. And let's say that the drawing we're looking at calls out a thickness of 1 inch. So I will simply type 1 inch into this prompt, and you can see now the preview is updated to show this part having a thickness of 1 inch. I will hit the check mark, and now I have turned this 12 by 6 rectangle, you can see 12 inches by 6 inches, and I've taken that 2D sketch and extruded it into a rectangular prism, if you want to call it that, that's 12 by 6 by 1. Okay, so now that we've covered how to take a 2D sketch that we started from scratch and extrude that into a three-dimensional part, the next thing we need to cover is taking this part that we've created and removing material to meet some hole call out on a drawing or just a certain feature that we want to accomplish. So if you'll remember, I mentioned that we start sketches on either planes or surfaces. In this case we want to start it on a surface, so I can select the surface of this part just by clicking on it. I will go back to the Sketch tab, select Sketch, and let's say I want to add a couple holes to the surface of this rectangle. Let's click Circle, and we will sketch on the surface of this part by just clicking and dragging. Now I want to give these circles a diameter. Just click on the circle, we can say it's 1.5 inches. We want both of these circles to be 1.5 inches, so we'll just go ahead and do that. And then another way we can use the Smart Dimension tool, other than just giving the value of the size of the circle, is by positioning the circle. So if I want to position this circle, the center of this circle, like an inch from this edge and an inch from this edge, I can do that by selecting this edge of the rectangle and then selecting the origin of the circle. You'll see that now I have a dimension pop up, and if I click, it gives me the option to change that. So let's just say I wanted it to be an inch away, and then I can do the same thing from the top of this, and now I can type in 1 inch and I've located this circle. Now let's say I wanted these circles to be on the same plane horizontally, but I want a specific spacing between these circles. So I can go ahead and call the circle an inch off the top edge, but if I want there to be 6 inches between these two circles, I can just select both of the origins, and when I click I can define that length as 6 inches. Once I have my sketches and we've given all the dimensions required for those to be positioned properly and for them to have the right size, so diameter, location from different edges or each other, I can go back to the Features tab and select Extruded Cut. You'll see that it automatically save the last value that I typed in here, and this will work. This is just going to blindly extrude a cut 1 inch from the surface. But to be safe, you can click this drop down and select through all, and that will always extrude this sketch through the depth of this material regardless of if this thickness changes. So let's go ahead and click the check mark, and now we have a rectangular plate with 2 holes in it. And just how I've shown in previous videos, if I ever wanted to change the dimensions of this rectangle, the easiest way to do that is to click the drop down under Boss Extrude 1, right click on Sketch 1, and then select the Edit Sketch button. And you'll see it pops up with our dimensions. I can change this to 15 inches, and we'll change this to 7 inches. And when I click Exit and Save Changes, which is this blue button here, now the dimensions of this rectangle have saved. Likewise, if I wanted to change the thickness of this plate, I can right click on Boss Extrude 1 and select Edit Feature, and I can change this dimension to 1.5 inches or whatever I need it to be. Hit the check mark, and now our part is 1.5 inches thick. We can also edit the cut extrude in the same manner. Say I wanted to add a notch to the bottom of this part. I will right click on Sketch 2, select Edit Sketch. I will come up to the Command Manager and select Corner Rectangle. If I want the sketch to be, or if I want this notch to be, in line with the bottom of the part, I can start my rectangle on the bottom line, drag to where I want the next corner to be. Say I want this to be about 1 inch tall, so we'll type in 1 inch, and let's say I want the left edge of this to be 3 inches off the left edge of the part, and I want the right edge to be 6 inches off the edge of this part. So I just do that by selecting the 2 sides, same mechanics as Smart Dimension is in most cases. And now I can hit Save and Exit Sketch, and now I have this notch that is cut all the way through the part. Boss Extrude and Cut Extrude are the 2 main features that we'll use to create 3-dimensional parts.